Hola amigos, welcome to the How to Learn Spanish podcast. My name is Levi Flint. In this episode of the show, we are going to talk about grammar. Grammar is a subject that has definitely, if you've been listening to all episodes of the show, you probably agree that it has been missing. Because everybody that learns a new language, everybody that studies a language, typically assumes that grammar is the most important thing. And the reason a lot of us think this is really because we have been conditioned to believe that through language classes that we take in elementary, middle school, high school, college. I'm guilty of this. I teach college courses for a couple of colleges online, and in these courses, the first thing I'm teaching is grammar. But it's much more that the courses and the programs and the expectations from the school are built around this. And it's not communication first. It's really making sure we're teaching that grammar, including certain grammatical elements in the course, so that the student can progress to the next one. It's very academic. So there's definitely there was an episode many episodes ago where I talk about the difference between learning and acquiring a language. Both are necessary. Learning the language is definitely more grammar study, vocabulary study, things like that. It's essential, right? Acquiring the language is a lot more like doing Pimsleur, having conversations like I talked about in the last episode, engaging with real native speakers online or in person. That's acquiring the language. It's more communicative. It's more like natural. So keep in mind that both of these things are very useful. I think the acquiring stuff is a lot more important, and the learning stuff is great. It's a great supplement. Okay, so keep that in mind. Grammar is important. It's not the most important thing, but it will make you speak a lot more clearly and accurately, and probably confidently as you learn, as the rules that you're learning have time to digest. And anyways, one quick thing before I move any further into this episode. I have to mention that this show is actually sponsored by my course called Fluency Hour. Fluency Hour is a 1-month, every single day course that is designed to teach you how to learn Spanish and also the core Spanish fundamentals that you need to become fluent in the language, okay? So every single day in the course, you're going to get an email sent very early in the day that is going to give you a tip, kind of a step on how to learn the language. And I'm going to give it to you in chunks. So you're going to get that tip, that bit of wisdom for the day. And you're also going to get a series of assignments that are designed to only take you 1 hour per day. Okay. So you'll get this first thing in the morning, and you also get access to our members only Facebook group. You get access to a library of videos that I've created over the past couple of years. All very, very valuable stuff. And the idea is that you're learning not just a little bit of Spanish, you're learning how to learn Spanish entirely on your own. You're learning all the skills, all the best websites, all the best content to use. That is it. Let's return to today's episode. Okay, guys, so let's now jump into the meat of this episode. And the very first thing we're going to do when we're studying grammar, and this is our next step. I think that the best thing you can do is to study grammar, Spanish grammar, in chunks. And what I mean by chunks is just to do a Pomodoro. And I talked about Pomodoros in previous episode, but in case you forgot, all it is a 25-minute timer with a 5-minute break once you get finished. Okay, so I recommend just one Pomodoro at a time, one Pomodoro per day, or every 3 days or every 5 days, whatever it is that you want to do for grammar study. I just recommend doing one chunk, one Pomodoro, because a lot of people have a tendency to overdo the grammar and they lose motivation. It gets confusing, it gets boring. Don't let stuff get boring, okay? You want to just keep it in a nice little chunk so that it's beneficial, but it's not boring you. It's not killing it's not killing your motivation, right? It's not killing your enthusiasm, right? Okay, so make sure to use your Pomodoro timer. The next thing to study Spanish grammar is to get the Essential Spanish Grammar Guide by Seymour Resnick. It's on Amazon, super cheap. Paperback is between $1 and $5, depending on if you go used or new route. The Kindle version, which can be on your iPad or your actual Kindle, is about just under $5, so $4.58. Super cheap, super comprehensive, very, very handy, easy to use. I highly, highly recommend getting this. It's very practical. It's not teaching you grammar that you don't need. It's only grammar that's really heard in conversation, okay? It's also really thin and really light, and you can also whip out a pen and be answering certain exercises and taking notes inside of it. It's so cheap that if you mark it up and you want to get another one, you can do that later. But again, keep these grammar study sessions very concise and very like segmented, very, don't overdo it, okay? The next thing, I really recommend in your Duolingo course, you can be on your phone or on your computer, and when you go to a new skill, you click on it, and tips or start appear. Click on tips, and tips is essentially, or all it is a grammar lesson. So for almost every skill, I believe, now has a tips section, which is a grammar section. It's a lesson, and it's great. So you can just come in here, you're studying present tense verbs, and they give you the verb conjugations, right? They talk about the AR verbs, the ER verbs, the IR verbs, okay? They give you those endings. They explain everything super clearly, and it's always a very condensed little chunk of grammar. So just studying this is awesome because it's very focused. You don't want to overdo it. You want to do just enough grammar so that you can remember it, so that you can process it, and then through repetition and through learning these little things, you'll remember these things in conversation. And this is kind of the glue that will begin to pull all these little random elements together. Okay, so we've been doing a lot of listening, Pimsleur, grammar, Duolingo lessons, vocabulary study. All that stuff is great. The grammar will help kind of glue stuff together a little more permanently. Okay, but don't overdo it. Don't worry. Okay, the last thing is Studyspanish.com. So Studyspanish.com is awesome. It's a free resource mostly, but there is a paid features. So you basically are just going to different grammar topics, and you can click on it. Like gender of nouns is the first one. They give you a nice lesson, very nice free lesson, explanation of everything. And then you can click on like the basic quiz, and you can take a quiz. You can click on a mini test and take the test. This is a great way to memorize and to submit some of these concepts. And sometimes it's fun too. You know, you can kind of test your knowledge of a topic. Like you're just trying to learn all the essential grammar topics. And after you study your little book or you study your little Duolingo tips, grammar, you can come in here, find that particular thing, and you can just quiz yourself on it. Okay? A great way to practice your grammar and learn grammar in a very basic, organized way. You know, just keep it simple. When it comes to learning grammar, don't venture out. Don't buy a 500-page textbook. Don't go out and confuse yourself with all these videos and resources. You can use YouTube for grammar when you really have already used this and you need more explanation and more examples. So keep that in mind, okay? So you can use this as your core foundation, and then you can go, and if you need supplemental stuff, you can dive into YouTube and dig around for different topics, okay? Sorry, I'm adjusting myself here. So that is it for this episode, guys. Eso es todo. I just want to keep this as simple as I want you to keep your grammar study. Very clean, very to the point, okay? No fluff, no confusion. Do these things. Do it a few times a week. At least once per week. Do some grammar study. Start incorporating that into your learning repertoire, all right? If you want to learn how to do all this stuff in a much more kind of like systematic way, make sure to check out Fluency Hour, my course. Again, I work with you directly. I'm sending you daily emails. You're getting access to our Facebook group, members only Facebook group, all these videos that I've created over the years. So everything is nice and packaged for you. it's a perfect complement to this course. So I hope to see you there. Muchas gracias de nuevo. Nos vemos muy, muy, muy pronto. Buena suerte.